Saturday Night Lights Football would like to congratulate the 1986-87 basketball team on their induction into the RMHS Athletic Hall of Fame. The success of the 1987 Reading High School basketball team has its roots sown in the previous two seasons. In fact, the 87 Rockets capped the program's last greatest basketball era when they went unprecedented 52-15 during the three-year period. But it was the 1987 team, coached by Reading Athletic Hall of Famer coach Bill Carroll, who reached the pinnacle. 19 wins, still tied as a school record, and a Middlesex League co-championship, its first since 1979. This was all accomplished by a dedicated and very entertaining basketball team that had been difficult to duplicate in the years to follow. An important thing to realize by the 1987 team is it was a fun team to watch. It was fast, competitive, highly skilled team, fortified by great basketball IQ. The team's school record per game scoring average of 75.4 remains a Ripken-esque number that easily still stands today. In the 30 years since this team walked off the court for the final time, the highest Reading team has come to the scoring standard was 63.8 points per game. This is even more amazing when you consider that there was no shot clock and no three-point field goal yet in high school basketball at the time. There were 10 seniors, including one truly exemplary player in Steve Lane, the state's first Gatorade Player of the Year. This year's senior group, led by Lane, Mike McGillicuddy, and Derek Sanford, as the three were all Middlesex League All-Stars, with Lane also repeating as the league's MVP. The other seniors were Carl McFadden, John Flibbert, Bill Jones, Donnie Neville, Al D'Angelo, Steve Whalen, and Dave Borgel, who played basketball hard and played quite efficiently during their careers. Playing time was at a premium, and practices provided quite spirited and competitive. Those that didn't see big minutes still supported their teammates. As Coach Carroll said at the time, we had guys like Billy Jones and Steve Whalen, good players, but they were battling in a senior class that was quite talented at the guard position. But obviously, when they were called upon, they went out and did the job. They were always ready. This class played in 7 tournament games and won 4 of them during their 3 years. And they played in 2 of the more memorable basketball games in school history. In the 1986 tournament at Andover, Reading won in double overtime in a game that had so much drama it needs its own highlight reel to truly tell the story. Then there was the February game on the final night of 1987 regular season at the Hawks Field House against Wakefield. Truly a classic that has a deserving final score of Reading 100, Wakefield 99, in 4 overtimes attached to it. The 1987 Rockets came into the season as a known entity. The Daily Times Chronicle Middlesex League Coaches Poll made Reading a slight favorite over Lexington to capture the season's title. Interesting enough, the Rockets and the Minutemen had played each other in the season opener, Reading winning 59-52 as the team's big three of Lane, Mike McGillicuddy, and Derek Sanford led the way as they would entire season. After defeating Lexington, it wasn't going to be a victory march the rest of the way for the Rockets, as they were surprised in the very next game at Belmont and lost in overtime. The early defeat serves as a wake-up call as the Rockets went on to win their next 8 in a row in dominating fashion, winning by nearly an average of 30 points per game. The rematch with Lexington was at hand, and the Rockets had to go on the road in front of a rowdy Friday night crowd in Lexington. The Minutemen were ready and defeated the Rockets 78-67 to tie up the Middlesex League race. If Reading was going to keep pace with Lexington, it had to avenge its other loss from the earlier in the season at Belmont. The Rockets did just that with an 87-75 victory at Hawks Fieldhouse. After a Woburn win, the Rockets squeezed out a 1.70-69 win at Wakefield in sign of things to come against the Warriors. Romps over Winchester, Watertown, and Burlington followed, setting up a game at Melrose. Reading won the first encounter against the Red Raiders by 27 points. And while this one was a little closer, with Reading winning by 9, the significance of the game was a foot injury to Lane. At first, it didn't seem too serious, but it was learned that it was a break, and it had an effect on the team later on. Reading, playing without Lane, posted a 76-41 win at Stoneham, setting up the final game of the regular season at Wakefield and the Hawks Fieldhouse. A win, and Reading would wrap up a share of the Middlesex League title. The first game between the two schools 2 weeks earlier proved to be a classic, with Reading winning by 1 point. This one, played at February 17th, would even top that one. Back and forth it went in regulation until a jumper by Derek Sanford with 12 seconds left cut Reading's deficit to 2 points. Donnie Neville picked off a pass at half court and laid it in with 7 seconds remaining to tie the game at 68-68. More back and forth it continued in overtime, with each team having their chances to win. Reading had its chances in the first and third overtimes, with 3-point leads each time Wakefield had an answer. Now in the fourth overtime and trailing 97-95, Reading took control. 2 free throws by Sanford tied it at 97 with 30 seconds to go. The Rockets forced a turnover, resulting in Sanford going back to the line to make 1 of 2 for a 98-97 Reading lead. Don Neville came up with a huge steal and fed John Flibbert for a layup and a 3-point lead with 3 seconds left.
It's over! I can't believe the score is 100-97.
Wakefield put in a meaningless basket at the end to account for the iconic 199 final score.
Of the Middlesex League.
The Rockets were a Division I school back then, and they were bracketed in the Division I North Sectional. They received a first-round bye and then hosted Peabody in the quarterfinal. Even in a grinding defensive battle, Reading had little difficulty defeating the Tanners 59-51. However, in the semifinals against rival Lexington, the loss of Steve Lane could not be overcome any longer. Lexington knocked down Reading defensively, allowing the Rockets to score a season-low 46 points in a 54-46 tournament loss. It was sad to see this team go, especially looking back now decades later. The entertainment value, the skill, and competitiveness of this group was something to watch, and it is fitting that the 1987 Reading High School basketball team takes its rightful place in the Athletic Hall of Fame. It is with great pride the Reading High School Athletic Hall of Fame welcomes the 1986-87 boys basketball team into its Hall of Fame class for 2017.